Hi, my name is Jon Davies and I'm here today to tell you what financial support there is for you as a self-employed musician to help you get through the coronavirus crisis. It's been a worrying few weeks. Firstly, as a few venues chose to close as less and less people went out, and then as all the venues were told to close. Now with all the venues closed, there's nowhere for you to play and no one to pay you. So what support is there for you and your lost income while the lockdown continues? Well, the main thing is the self-employment scheme that's announced by the Chancellor this week. That scheme will see the government pay you up to 80% of your lost profits for the next 3 months. They're going to look at your last 3 years worth of tax returns, work out your average monthly profit, and they'll pay 80% of that to you for the 3 months to cover your lost income in March, April and May 2020. The most they'll pay is £2,500 per month, or a total of £7,500. They'll pay that to you in a lump sum in June 2020, and then they'll revisit the scheme, and if we're still in a lockdown at that point, probably look to extend it. We'll see what kind of happens then. They're going to look at your personal tax returns last 3 years. If you haven't done 3 of them, they'll look at what they've got. To be eligible though, you must have done a personal tax return for the year ended 5th of April 2019. If you should have done one but are a bit late, the deadline was a couple of months ago, 31st of January, they're going to give you 4 weeks to get it in to be processed and get the grant. Now, to be eligible for the scheme, like I say, you must have done a 5th of April 2019 tax return. So if you've only newly started being self-employed as a musician since then, unfortunately there won't be anything for you. That is slightly unfair, but what they're trying to do is stop people suddenly decide they're self-employed and therefore apply for the grant. So basically that's the last tax return that should have been put in, so they're using that. It's a slightly blunt instrument, and it will absolutely mean some people who are deserving of the grant do miss out, and we'll see whether anything develops over that, but for the moment that's the rule. Also, your profits must have been less than £50,000 in your 2019 tax return. If they were more than that, you can look at the average over the 3 years, but your profits must be less than £50,000 to be eligible for the scheme. If they've gone above that, you won't get anything. And also, your self-employment income on your tax return must be at least 50% of your total income. The idea of this is to avoid the government funding people who actually have a job as the main source of income and perhaps just play a few gigs on the side, or in a wedding band at the weekend that makes them a few pounds and is important. But if they actually have a job that is actually funding the majority of their lifestyle and the general outgoings, the government's not going to support that. So like I said, they're going to look at your tax return and actually see, is your self-employment more than 50% of your total income? If it is, you'll be eligible. Now, the way they're going to do that is because they already have all the details, they're going to work it out automatically. You do not have to apply. They'll be in touch with you. At that point, there will be an online form that you fill in just to kind of confirm things, but at its core, they will approach you. Having said that, in advance of that, you should be looking at your tax return for 2019 and the previous years to see whether you are eligible, to help you effectively budget, will you be getting this grant or not, and get a feel for what you will be getting. Other people who are not eligible, if you set yourself up as a limited company and you're a director of a limited company, you will not be eligible for the scheme. That's because directors are paid through salary and dividends do not count as self-employment. So it's just worth kind of checking that, but on the basis you are a self-employed musician, you will be eligible as long as, let's say, you tick those things. Done 2019 tax return, profits less than £50,000, and that part of your income was at least half of your overall income. Now, in terms of other things that are available to you, that's kind of cash coming in, but one of the big kind of gaps there is that you don't get paid it till June 2020, which is at the moment kind of 2 or 3, basically 3 months away. I'm on the 28th of March at the moment, but if it's paid early June, just over 2 months away with no cash coming in. So what can be done to help you during that time? Well, basically a couple of things are on a personal level, that if you have a residential mortgage, the lenders have been told to give 3 months holidays to people who need them. The government have actually urged them to do that. That will not get you out of paying it overall. It will simply be a cash thing. You won't pay for 3 months, but you'll have to pay it later. But again, to ease the kind of cash burden right now. Also, the government have launched a loan scheme called the Coronavirus Business Interruption Loan Scheme. If you're self-employed, whether you're a sole trader or a partnership, you are eligible for that. But to be eligible, you do actually have to have a business bank account. There are about 40 lenders are actually offering loans through this scheme. The idea is that the government pays the interest the first year. So if it's a short-term loan, you won't pay any interest. The government in the background backs the loan. They're doing this actually just to help people who might not have the credit rating to get the loan. What they're not actually guaranteeing is they'll pay it if it goes wrong. It is worth looking into that with the lender. Many of the lenders would require you to have a personal guarantee that ultimately will kind of be on you. If things go wrong, you can't repay. However, the big four, basically the high street banks, have announced today, on the 28th of March, they won't require a personal guarantee for one of these loans. But it is just that it's a loan to help you get through, potentially to bridge that gap until the grant comes in June 2020. If you happen to be VAT registered, you won't have to pay VAT in this quarter. Any VAT payments due between 20th of March 2020 and 30th of June 2020 do not have to be paid until 31st of March 2021. They have to be paid, but again, it's for a cash flow thing, just to help ease people through this crisis. So those are the main things available to you right now. Come the 31st of July, actually, if you have a payment on account from your last tax return, you won't have to pay that through till January 2021 as well. Remember what year we're in. So there's a 6-month holiday on that. Again, it has to be paid. It's to help you through. But obviously that actually comes after the grant. That will be very important to you if this lockdown kind of continues and you're still not able to get out there and play. The venues are closed, but that comes a bit later. So they're the main things available to you as a self-employed musician. Like I say, the big one, assuming you kind of are eligible, will be that grant, which will cover 80% of your profits. 80% might not be 100%, but it's there to kind of help. Hope you found that video useful. If you have any queries, please do get in touch. Use kind of there'll be some contact details below. I'll continue making more videos while this carries on. Let's say today is the 28th of March. Guidance has been changing all the time, or the situation is changing all the time, so please kind of keep an eye on our YouTube channel and the likes, and I hope to see you very, very soon. Cheers.